Manchester United back in action again. The games do come quick and fast again with this next game in the week. After a Monday night football, we're now back on Thursday, so that is a quick turnaround for Manchester United to get their arse into gear and get back to winning ways. I see a lot of pundits really criticising Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for that when we've drawn that game. And we've been on a good run, Manchester United. Have 18 games unbeaten. We have definitely seen improvement, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer might not be the man to take Manchester United back to the title, but he's got a better squad together than what was there for Jose Mourinho, and it's taken him time to get this team together to play in decent football, to be honest. And we've seen with the likes of Jurgen Klopp and with Pep Guardiola, and I'm not comparing him to them two managers at all, it's taken them time to get their teams to a decent standard, and they were given time because they'd won top things at other clubs. Now, I'm not saying that Solskjaer is going to turn this around and win the Champions League, win the Premier League, win multiple FA Cups. I'm not saying he's going to do that, but they were given the time to do that. I mean, Klopp and Liverpool were crap for the first 2 or 3 seasons. At one point in time, all the players after the end of a game against West Brom at home, when they drew, I think that was 2-2, they were all running down the pitch celebrating like they'd won the league. I mean, and now look where they are a few years later. It's taken time. It took him till only last season to win a trophy at Liverpool. At first, they weren't even qualifying for the Champions League, lost to Seville in the Europa League final. It took Pep Guardiola third in his first season with the best squad in the league. Went out and spent and bought 2 full-backs for about 100 million, bought a new goalkeeper. The goalkeeper was no good, so he went out and bought another goalkeeper, and so forth. And we have seen improvement of late from Manchester United. And yes, at the beginning of the season, we didn't see a great deal of good stuff from Manchester United, and I was wondering if he would, in fact, get the sack when that Burnley defeat was, in fact, our last defeat. But we've improved. We've brought in better players. Players are coming back from injury. And you've got to remember, there is not a lot of options on the bench, and this is a big problem for Manchester United with these games coming thick and fast. And you're looking at the options on the substitutes bench, they're not the same level of quality as the first team. And yes, this is the strongest squad we've had in a while. It's still not a good enough overall squad depth for Manchester United. That's why we're looking to bring in the likes of Jadon Sancho and getting linked with the likes of Jack Grealish, because these are players, though I'm not a massive overall fan of Jack Grealish improving Manchester United's first starting lineup, he would definitely improve our squad. Definitely. Because he's better than the likes of Lingard, Pereira, players like that are sitting on Manchester United's bench. And he would be a better option than some of them. And we just don't have that at the moment. And when these players were injured, I'm not trying to make excuses, but when the likes of Anthony Martial, Rashford were injured, Pogba, we haven't got them players to bring into the team at the moment. And that's not the fact that Solskjaer's that necessarily means he's a bad manager or he's a good manager. When you bring in Bruno Fernandes, it's changed a lot for Manchester United. That doesn't mean he's a better manager. You're bringing in better players, you're getting better results. And that's the bottom line of it. Pep Guardiola didn't become a better manager in his second season at Man City because he spent 200 million. He got better players in. And yes, the manager can make a huge difference in terms of his tactics, the players he picks, the systems to go along with that, and his decision making from the substitutes bench. You've still got to get better players in and improve the team, and we've got a long way to go still before we challenge for the Premier League title, because 2 or 3 injuries were away from a crisis. And going into this game against Crystal Palace, Manchester United may have to shuffle the pack a little bit in the team. Now, I'm not too sure what we're going to do at left back. David Hare will stay in goal. Left back is probably going to be Diogo Dalot, because I think both Williams and Shaw are going to be out for this one, which is disappointing that both are going to be out. It will be Maguire and Lindelof, and then obviously Wan-Bissaka as the rest of the defence. Midfield's going to be interesting. Could he bring out Matic now and put in Scott McTominay? I think it might be the opportunity to do that, because Matic has played a lot of football lately. We've picked up the same team for 5 consecutive games, and he isn't a young guy anymore and probably does need that rest if we're going to play him against Chelsea in a massive tie in the FA Cup. And that is coming up on Sunday, so that's another quick turnaround. So I would put in McTominay, Pogba and Fernandes. Pogba didn't have a good game in that previous game against Southampton, but keep him keep him in the team. I mean, he could switch it up and bring in Fred as well, but we will have to wait and see. But the forwards, I would keep the same forwards. I know Greenwood wasn't his best. He will probably go for James, I think, and Rashford and Martial. That's what I think he's going to go for in this game. I think he's going to bring Greenwood out, but it is a little. I think it will be a little bit harsh because he's only had one bad game since he's come back from the lockdown, which was that game against Southampton. And I mean, Rashford hasn't exactly been at his best since the lockdown, and he's featured from the start in every single game. So, but he is a young man, Greenwood. But I think he's probably our best, but the best forward that Manchester United have got at this moment in time out of them three. Although the other three have actually scored more goals this season, I think he probably would have scored more than them if he had featured in a lot more games from the start. From the start of the season, he's only started about 9 Premier League games. That I think is the reason why the others are far further ahead. He's actually featured in more games than Rashford and Martial because they've both got injured. But the minutes, in terms of the minutes he's actually played, it is quite low compared to a lot of other Premier League strikers. And only before that game against Southampton, only Sergio Aguero had got a better minutes per goal ratio in the Premier League. So that does tell you something. But he has featured in nearly 50 games. But some of them early in the season were 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, coming off the substitutes bench, and they weren't good minutes really, were they? You need sort of half an hour to get into the groove of a game. So I would stick with Greenwood, but he probably will go for James. And we've got that big tie coming up against Chelsea on Sunday. That could be a massive game for Manchester United, for Greenwood to make even bigger statement in terms of his credentials and show the world what he can do. I do though feel that a couple of changes, there may be more than 3 changes, but I think 3 changes will happen. The left back, one midfielder coming in for Matic, and I think he will take out Greenwood for James. That's my overall feeling anyway. And I mean, Manchester United should still be beating these, even if we took out Pogba as well and changed 4 players for this game. I still think Manchester United, well, I mean, we could even change 5 and bring in Ighalo up front instead of Martial, and I still think that team would probably be good enough to beat Crystal Palace. But you don't want to change the team too much because we've still got to get the 3 points, and I do feel the level does drop down when we're changing these players. So, but overall, Crystal Palace I think they've lost their last 5 games. They're not a very good side, to be honest, but we did lose to them at home earlier in the season. Dan James did get a late equaliser, and they scored straight after that to go and win at Old Trafford. So we can't take these too lightly, but they don't score a lot of goals. They're one of the lowest scoring sides in the Premier League. Benteke is actually banned for this game because he got sent off in the last game. But to be honest, we would probably have wanted to play against him because he hasn't been in good form this last year or so. He hasn't been scoring goals. And probably Wilfried Zaha is their main threat, and even he has only scored about 4 Premier League goals this season. They are a low scoring team, so I'm not too sure. He probably is their top scorer. I'm not too sure, to be honest, with them stats, which is crazy to think, but I think Manchester United will get the job done. I'm going to go Manchester United winning this game 2-0. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. The top 4 race is really heating up now. We've got the easier fixtures out of ourselves, Leicester and Chelsea, so we've got to go out there and win this game, get the job done. Anyway, if you're watching this on Facebook, do hit the share button and head over to All Things Man United on YouTube and subscribe there and like the video there. And I'll talk to you all again soon. See ya.